You ever feel something crack inside you, but you can't quite place the sound? That was me, standing in front of the bathroom mirror, adjusting a tie I didn't even want to wear. I hadn't worn a tie in months. Jenna said this one made me look trustworthy, which I guess is the quality you want in a man who's about to walk into a corporate party full of drunk strangers and inflated egos. She was already downstairs, laughing about something with her co-workers in our living room, holding a glass of that expensive rose she only buys when someone else is paying. The company's annual bash was held at the Westbrook Hotel, swanky place, floor-to-ceiling windows, golden lighting, and that curated scent of polished wood and ambition. Jenna worked in HR for a tech firm that thought very highly of itself. I didn't get half of what she talked about at dinner anymore: productization, digital pipelines, synergistic something-somethings. But I showed up when it mattered. Or at least, I thought I did. Funny how the night didn't feel wrong, not at first. There were signs, but I ignored them. The way she hesitated when I put my hand on her back. How she looked a little too long at the guy in the navy blazer when we walked in. I told myself it was nothing. I was just being insecure. Probably just overthinking it like I always do. I should have trusted the crack I heard earlier. The ballroom was everything you'd expect: soft jazz, golden lights, overpriced drinks flowing like water. People toasted and postured. I made small talk with guys in stiff suits who looked past me while shaking my hand. Jenna drifted through it all like she was born for it, laughing, touching arms, tipping her head back when she laughed a little too loud. She wasn't drunk. Not yet. She was performing. And something about that shook me. I watched her talk to one guy in particular, slim, too polished, the kind of man who irons his t-shirts. He had a corporate smile, the kind that never touches the eyes. Jenna touched his wrist when he made a joke. He leaned in close when he whispered something back. Too close. It felt like watching someone else wear her skin. I should have walked away then. Should have told myself, don't be the guy who hangs around to witness his own humiliation. But I couldn't leave. I stood there, one hand in my pocket, holding a whiskey I wasn't even sipping anymore, watching her become someone I didn't recognize. She disappeared around 10:30. Said she was going to the restroom. But 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I started asking around. No one had seen her. Not the bartender. Not the coworker who thought I was her brother. Not even the guy who had been flirting with her all night. He was gone too. And then I saw it. Down the hall. One of those hotel conference rooms, barely ajar. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't. But some part of me, the part that still hoped I was wrong, needed confirmation. So I walked up, slow, heart in my throat, and pushed the door open an inch. That was all it took. An inch was enough. It's funny what the brain does in moments like that. It doesn't scream. Doesn't panic. It just catalogs. Her heel on the floor. His hand at her waist. Her lips on his neck. And the sound, God, the sound. That small, muffled moan that made me hate her in a way I didn't know I could hate anyone. I closed the door quietly. Walked back to the ballroom like I'd left something at the bar. Nobody noticed me. Why would they? On the ride home, I didn't say a word. I took the car. She could Uber back. Or walk. Or crawl. I didn't give a damn. All the way home, I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just drove. And started thinking. Thinking real carefully about what it means when someone sets your entire life on fire and thinks you'll just stand there, watching it burn. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. My body was still, but my mind kept circling back to that moment in the hallway. That inch of space between the door and the truth. Jenna came back around 2 a.m., smelling like sweat and cologne that didn't belong to me. Her heels clicked against the hardwood like nothing had changed. I was in the kitchen. Lights off. Just sitting. She didn't see me until she turned around with a glass of water in her hand, and there I was, in the shadows. She froze. Then forced a smile. Hey, she said, like we were two normal people in a normal moment. She started to say something else, some excuse, maybe. But I didn't let her. I stood up. Walked past her. Brushed her shoulder, hard enough to make her stumble a little. Then I grabbed my keys and left. That was the moment I decided. No yelling. No confrontation. No drama. She didn't deserve the satisfaction of guilt. She wanted chaos. She'd get silence instead. The kind that makes people squirm. You see, I've always believed that if you're going to take revenge, don't swing wildly. You wait. You sharpen the blade. And you cut deep. The first thing I did was cancel our joint account cards. I moved everything into my own name. She had her own income, she'd be fine. But the perks she loved. The dinners I paid for. The car I leased. Those were gone before the sun came up. Next, I packed a single bag. Left her clothes. Her makeup. Her framed Instagram-ready photos on the hallway wall. By sunrise, I was on the road to my brother's cabin upstate. No cell service. No internet. Just me, silence, and the slow throb of betrayal pressing against the inside of my ribs. I needed to clear my head. I needed to plan. And oh, the plan was already forming. Jenna was proud. Vain, even. Her whole life was curated for social media. She needed attention like oxygen. So I knew exactly where to hit her. When I got back 3 days later, I went nuclear. I uploaded every photo from our last vacation, just the ones of me. Deleted her from my feeds. Changed my status. Marked myself single. Posted a quote she once mocked me for liking: "Silence is sometimes the most violent scream." She saw it. I know because 10 minutes later, she called. I didn't answer. She texted, "Can we talk?" Then, please. Then, it was a mistake. Mistake. That word again. Like she tripped and fell onto his lap. I sent her one message. Just one. "You left me in a ballroom full of strangers so you could screw a man who thinks cufflinks are a personality. Don't call me again." And then I blocked her. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Because revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about making them understand what they threw away. It's about the echo of their own choices catching up to them in the middle of the night. It's about showing them exactly what it means to be replaced. The thing about revenge is that it doesn't start with fire. It starts with smoke. Whispers. Shadows. Little distortions in what someone thinks is real. That's what I wanted for Jenna. She wasn't the kind of person who'd be destroyed by losing me. No, she needed the image of me, the man who made her seem more grounded, more lovable, more whole. I was the humble husband, the backbone, the quiet supporter behind her curated climb up the corporate ladder. In every dinner party story she told, I was the balance to her chaos. So I became a ghost. But not the kind that haunts. The kind that makes people ask questions. First thing I did was reach out to Lisa. Now, I don't like involving people. But Lisa, she was Jenna's coworker and, for a brief time, my friend too. The kind of friend who always said too much when she drank. I invited her to lunch under the pretense of talking through the separation, and she agreed before I even finished the text. She had always liked me more than she liked Jenna. Probably still does. We met at a quiet bistro near downtown. She showed up overdressed, like it was a date. I kept the conversation pointed. "So," I said, halfway through my beer, "just to be clear. Jenna and this guy, Mark, right? That's who she left with." Lisa's mouth tightened. She looked away. "Tyler," she said. "Mark was last quarter." I blinked. She gave a sad smile. "You didn't know, huh?" There was a silence so thick it could have filled the room. And then something inside me just broke, quietly, the way a windshield cracks before it shatters. "I only saw them once," she added quickly. "At the Halloween thing. They weren't exactly subtle. But Jenna said you guys had an arrangement." I didn't respond. Just nodded, like that made sense. An arrangement. She was rewriting the script already. She didn't cheat, we had an understanding. That's how she'd play it. And maybe Lisa believed her. Maybe that was the point. That night, I started building a different kind of narrative. One Jenna wouldn't see coming. I changed my number. Opened a new Instagram account, this time private. Posted a photo of me at a lake. Then one at the gym. Then a few with friends Jenna never liked. I let a woman's hand appear in one of them, just barely, just enough. No names. No stories. Just a life. A better one. You'd be surprised how fast word travels through the people who orbit women like Jenna. The same colleagues who toasted her new haircut, who clapped for a promotion, now started whispering about how I looked healthier lately. Clearer. Happier, even. That's when she started texting my sister. Is he okay? Has he said anything about me? My sister responded like a PR rep, short. Civil, unhelpful. Yeah, he's good. Busy. Nothing more. A week later, Jenna emailed me. I hadn't heard from her in days. No texts, no calls. The subject line was, closure. As if betrayal came with a receipt. She wrote. I never meant to hurt you. What happened at the party was complicated. I was drunk. I made a mistake. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'd like a chance to explain. Even if you never respond, I just wanted you to know I loved you. Maybe still do. I read it twice. Then deleted it. But I didn't feel good. Not victorious. Not even satisfied. I just felt tired. Because that's what betrayal does. It doesn't burn you in one big explosion. It leaks into everything. It poisons the good memories. It rewrites the past. It makes you doubt even the parts that were real. Was she always like that? Was I? And still, that wasn't the end. Because revenge isn't complete when they feel guilty. It's complete when they see themselves for who they really are. So I gave Jenna one final gift. A mirror. It arrived on a Wednesday. A simple FedEx box, left at her apartment door. Inside, a single manila envelope. No note. No message. Just a printout. A screenshot from a security camera at the hotel. Time-stamped. Crystal clear. Jenna. Tyler. The hallway. His hand on her waist. Her lips at his neck. The image said everything. No filter. No excuse. Just the truth, captured and frozen. For her. And only her. That was the last I ever heard from her. No calls. No emails. No texts. Just silence. But not the kind that begs for revenge. The kind that follows the sound of a mirror shattering. After the envelope, things went quiet. Not just quiet, dead. The kind of silence that feels like walking into a house after the power's been cut. No hum of the fridge. No lights. No music. Just the emptiness where life used to be. That's what our home became. Well, hers, now. Because I didn't go back. Even though half my things were still there. Even though my name was still on the lease. Even though my toothbrush was probably still sitting in the cup by the sink, right next to hers. It didn't matter. That place wasn't home anymore. It was a crime scene dressed up like domestic bliss. Hardwood floors and shared memories soaked in invisible blood. I stayed at a friend's place for a while, Drew. We used to room together in college before he got married, divorced, and then promptly gave up on the concept of love. Drew wasn't one to ask questions. He just handed me a beer and said, "Couch pulls out." I don't. That was all I needed. But even there, surrounded by old video games and the smell of cheap takeout, the memories kept creeping in. I kept thinking about our living room. How we picked out the couch together. How she insisted on the navy one, even though I liked the charcoal. How we painted that wall in the hallway after spilling the first gallon by mistake. How the dog we almost adopted peed on the rug and we laughed like kids. I remembered all of it. And I hated every second of it. Because nostalgia is just the ghost of trust. And I was haunted. Jenna's sister called next. That was unexpected. Madeline had never liked me. Too quiet, too emotionally closed off, whatever the hell that meant. But now she was suddenly warm. Even apologetic. "I don't know what Jenna told you," she said, "but I want you to know she's not doing well." Not doing well. That was rich. She's been drinking more. Missing work. She talks about you like she's stuck in the past. I didn't say anything. She says you sent her something. A photo. Still nothing from me. Madeline sighed. I'm not defending her. What she did was cruel. But I think she really did love you. There it was again. Love. The most misused word in the English language. People love chocolate. They love a TV show. They love someone until that person stops being convenient. But when Jenna loved me, she still took his hand. She still let his mouth find hers. She still laughed at his whisper while my world fell apart 5 rooms away. So no, I didn't believe it. Love without loyalty is just a performance. That weekend, I went back to the house. Not to move in. Just to collect what was mine. She wasn't there, probably staying with someone. A friend, maybe. Or Tyler. Didn't matter. I let myself in with the spare key I'd hidden in the vent before she moved in. She never knew about it. I made sure of that. I moved fast. Methodical. Books. Tools. My old guitar. The watch my dad gave me. I didn't take anything that felt tainted. Left the bed sheets. The silverware. The couch she picked. Even the framed photo of us from Aspen, me holding her while snowflakes hit her hair like a goddamn movie scene. Left it on the kitchen counter. Face down. The last thing I took was the ring. Not an engagement ring. Nothing that dramatic. Just the silver band she gave me on our 2nd anniversary. Said it was something simple but solid. Like you. I wore it for years. Took it off the night of the party. Now it sat in the drawer by the sink. I picked it up. Held it. Turned it in my fingers like it might say something. It didn't. I slipped it into my pocket and walked out. Locked the door behind me. No note. No goodbye. Nothing. 2 weeks later, she moved out. Madeline told me, not that I asked. She says there are too many memories, she texted. Says the walls feel like they're judging her. Good. Let the walls speak. Let the house remember what she did. Let every creak in the floorboards remind her of the night she threw everything away for the thrill of being wanted by someone new. She thought she could start over. But the past has a way of following you, especially when it's carved into the bones of the place you used to call home. Me. I found a new place. Not much to look at. Small. 2 rooms. Quiet street. No shared history. No ghost of her perfume on the pillow. Just me. And peace. Real peace. The kind that doesn't ask questions. The kind that doesn't leave at 10:30 for the bathroom and come back with someone else's fingerprints. I unpacked 1 box at a time. No rush. Rebuilt my life like you'd rebuild a house after a fire. Foundation first. 1 brick at a time. Some nights I still woke up with clenched fists. Not from dreams. From absence. From that sound the door made the night Jenna left the party and didn't come back, slightly ajar, wind tapping it against the frame. That sound stuck with me. Not the moaning. Not even the way her hand curled around his wrist. Just that half-open door. Like a fire escape she ran through and never looked back. I got used to living alone faster than I thought I would. No more dirty wine glasses on the counter. No hair ties in the sink. No unanswered texts about dinner plans. It was peaceful, but in that strange way where peace feels like standing in an empty theater long after the show's ended. You know something used to happen there. But now it's just echoes. I thought about dating. Downloaded an app once. Made a profile. Deleted it the same night. Every profile I saw looked like Jenna, or a version of her. Smiling, curated, clever captions with empty eyes. I couldn't stomach it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Instead, I focused on the things that made sense. Work. Music. Running again. Fixing things that had been broken for too long. There's something beautiful about repair. Unlike people, objects make sense. If it breaks, you find the fault. If a wire shorts, you replace it. If the door squeaks, you oil the hinge. Nothing hides. Nothing lies. One night, I went to fix the fire door at the back of my building. The bolt wasn't catching right. It made this rattling sound in the wind, just like the one at the hotel. I brought my toolbox, a small flashlight, and a six-pack. A neighbor saw me and asked if I was the new guy. I said I was just the guy trying to stop the door from reminding him of something he should have slammed shut a long time ago. She laughed. Said that was poetic. I didn't mean it to be. A few days later, Jenna emailed me again. Different tone this time. No more soft regret. No more apologies. Just. I heard you moved out. I wanted to say you didn't have to do that. We could have talked. I never got the chance to explain. The entitlement hit me harder than anything else. I didn't have to. She really thought the damage she caused came with a return policy. That's the thing about some people. They believe heartbreak is a misunderstanding. Like if they explain it well enough, it'll shrink. Like if you listen better, the pain won't count. But betrayal isn't math. It's a car crash. It's twisted metal and blood on glass and no airbag. It doesn't matter why she did it. It only matters that she did. Still, I didn't reply. Let her sit with it. Let her feel what I felt in that ballroom, confused, dismissed, uninvited from her own reality. That's what she deserved. Not rage. Not revenge. Irrelevance. Then came the part one hadn't planned for. Tyler messaged me. Yeah. Him. Didn't think the guy had it in him to reach out, but I guess guilt crawls slow. He found me on LinkedIn, of all places. I almost didn't recognize his name. But when I saw his company, Jenna's company, it all clicked. He kept it brief. I didn't know she was married. She said you were separated. I wouldn't have done what I did if I'd known. Just wanted to say that. I didn't even feel angry. Just tired. Tired of hearing people rewrite their roles like actors in a play that bombed on opening night. Tyler wasn't innocent. But he was irrelevant, too. Like a storm that already passed. He didn't wreck my house. He just danced on the ashes. That night, I opened a new document on my laptop. Started writing this. Not for closure. Not for therapy. Just to remember. Because sometimes the world doesn't explode. Sometimes it erodes. You come home to a stranger in your wife's skin. You find your reflection looking older than it should. You laugh at things that aren't funny. And you tell yourself, next time, I'll see it coming. But deep down you know the truth. There shouldn't have been a first time. I didn't look in the mirror for a while after everything happened. Not really. Sure, I shaved. Brushed my teeth. But I avoided eye contact. I'd glance past my own reflection like a stranger in a hallway, someone who looked vaguely familiar but didn't deserve the full attention. But you can only ignore your own face for so long before it starts demanding answers. The turning point came one morning, about a month after the party. I was getting dressed, pulling on a black hoodie that still smelled faintly like her shampoo. Probably hadn't washed it in a while. I froze halfway through slipping it over my head and caught my face in the bathroom mirror. I didn't recognize myself. Eyes sunken. Skin dull. A beard that wasn't quite intentional. I looked like a man halfway through a transformation, except I wasn't becoming something new. I was just trying to shed something old. I stared for a long time. Really stared. And I realized what I was seeing wasn't just tiredness or age. It was the residue of betrayal. The look of someone who'd carried another person's weight for too long, someone who'd convinced himself that love meant endurance. That pain was just part of the package. That if you held on tighter, the cracks would fix themselves. Turns out cracks don't fix. They split. And eventually, the whole damn thing caves in. I thought back to all the signs. The nights she came home late and laughed too hard at nothing. The sudden gym membership. The new perfume she said a coworker recommended. The way she started calling me buddy when we argued. How had I missed it? Maybe I hadn't. Maybe I just didn't want to see it. You can train yourself not to notice things when your survival depends on pretending. Later that day, I went through some old photos. Not out of nostalgia. More like evidence gathering. I needed to remember who I was before her, before that party, before Tyler, before she decided that exploring her feelings was worth detonating a life we spent years building. I found a picture from our second anniversary. We were at a cabin upstate, holding mugs of coffee on a porch. I was smiling in a way I hadn't in a long time. Uncomplicated. Not trying. Not performing. She looked happy, too. But when I looked closer, even then, there was a distance in her eyes. Like she was already drifting. Already planning her exit. And I was still there, holding the camera, trying to keep the moment from slipping. That night, I did something small. Insignificant, really. I threw out the hoodie. It seems dumb when I say it now. But it felt like cutting off a dead limb. I didn't need her scent in my clothes. Didn't need her shadow in my closet. Didn't need her ghost whispering, "You weren't enough," every time I got dressed. I took it to the dumpster out back. Didn't even fold it. Just dropped it in and shut the lid. The thud it made felt like punctuation. Jenna still hadn't reached out again. I think she got the message. Or maybe she finally ran out of ways to spin the story. Either way, I was glad. Because the thing about mirrors is, they don't lie. They don't care about your intentions. They don't care how well you explain yourself. They reflect what's there. And in the end, that's what Jenna couldn't face. Not me. Her. The version of herself she became the night she walked out of that ballroom and into someone else's arms. The version that wore another man's cologne and came home like nothing happened. The version that thought I would just swallow it whole and thank her for the taste. She wanted forgiveness without honesty. Healing without confession. A future without consequence. But life doesn't work like that. Love doesn't work like that. And I don't work like that anymore. It was a Tuesday. Not the kind of day where anything life-changing is supposed to happen. Just another forgettable square on a calendar. And yet, that's the day I found peace. Not closure. Not forgiveness. Just peace. I was walking home from the corner store, brown paper bag in one hand, cool breeze cutting across my face. I remember the way the sky looked, gray but not heavy. Like it was trying to decide whether to cry or let the clouds pass. Halfway down my street, I passed a couple. Probably in their early 30s. She was laughing at something he said, and he looked over at her like she was the last person on earth. That look, the unguarded, foolish, hopeful look of a man still in love. I didn't flinch. I didn't look away. I didn't feel anything at all. That was the moment I knew I was free. People always want a big ending. They want revenge. Rage. A car crash or a courtroom scene or some tearful monologue on the steps of a courthouse. But sometimes the ending is quiet. Sometimes it's just done. You don't scream. You don't slam doors. You just stop caring. And not the bitter kind of "I don't care." Not the angry pretense. The real kind. The kind where their name doesn't punch your stomach anymore. Where their voice in your memory doesn't twist like a knife. Where the past is just a chapter, not a prison. I sat on my back porch that evening with a glass of whiskey and no plans. Looked out at the street. The same one Jenna used to drive down when she was still mine. I could almost picture her car pulling in, her steps up the driveway, her voice calling through the screen door. But I didn't want that anymore. I didn't miss it. I didn't miss her. And that, I realized, was the real revenge. She gave up something real for something disposable. She traded loyalty for validation. Trust for attention. A life we built together for a thrill that barely lasted longer than the buzz of her last glass of champagne. And in doing so, she burned the bridge back. There would be no more messages. No more explanations. No more, I was drunk or, I didn't mean to. That door was closed. That lock was changed. That chapter was over. I raised my glass that night. To what, I wasn't sure at first. But then I knew. To every man who's ever loved honestly and lost unfairly. To the silence we choose instead of shouting. To the lessons we learn when the people we trust show us who they really are. To the nights we walk away. To the days we start over. And to the one toast I never gave at the party she ruined. To me.